So I need your opinion on this. I believe there's a cheese renaissance going on right now, and not a lot of people are talking about it. Have you heard about some of the things that are going on in the world of cheese?
I have not heard about this at all. I'm very happy. It makes me very happy. I
Okay.
will tell you that. But
I
yeah,
mean, you and I were both cheese lovers.
yes,
Maybe
indeed.
me a little bit more than you, but I don't know. It's not like we're measuring mozzarella sticks or anything.
Yeah,
The
but
first thing is,
mozzarella sticks are one of my faverites for sure. Yeah, I mean,
okay, well, you'll love this, and you
Yeah.
might have saw that I posted this on Facebook.
Okay.
The TGI Fridays now has not one, not two, but three different kinds of mozzarella sticks,
Okay.
and
What-
seemingly this could save. They haven't been doing well lately. They're down to like 80 stores nationwide.
Yeah.
So maybe this is the thing
This
that
is the
brings them
thing.
back. But that's not what I want to talk about. This is what I want
Okay.
to talk about. Did
Sure.
you hear that, like, the latest thing in the world of cheese are cheese grottos? Did you know this?
I did not know this either. This is like, you mean like a beer garden, but so you got your beer gardens and your cheese grottos.
Yeah. So, like a cheese grotto, if you go to some place, it's like a cheese cave. It's in a certain temperature, a certain environment, right? So it's
Yeah.
like they have a cheese cave. But
Yeah.
they're selling these mini cheese grottos that you put in your kitchen. You actually can buy them.
I'm not sure they understand what the word grotto means.
I guess if you're a very small person, it could be okay. But this is just it's a cheese grotto. I had to look it up. This is an actual article. It's the latest boast. It says, I have a cheese grotto. And you take your hard cheeses and you put them into the cheese grotto. And it's like
fancy word for box, right? It's just a fancy word for box.
It's okay. You know what it looks like? It looks like a cheese sauna is what it looks like. But no, but then I went to it. It's called cheesegrotto.com. I have to throw out
how much
love.
is a cheese box like sauna gonna
how
set
much
me back?
Is a cheese? Is that a song? How cheese box gonna cheese box?
How much is that cheese box in the window?
Okay. Actually, there's a cheese grotto for all occasions. You can get your Piatto size cheese grotto for $89.
Yeah.
But you can go up to the Classico, which is $350. So knowing all this, would you purchase a cheese grotto?
Look, my birthday's coming up, so I'm hoping you're going to get me the July 4th Classico themed cheese box.
I think maybe we can get a This Old Marketing branded
beautiful
mini cheese grotto.
There it is.
I don't know. This is the best news all week for me.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say.
Just remember, everybody has your story to tell. Tell it well. On This Old Marketing.
And now, for your listening pleasure, here's Polizzi and Rose, covering the week of media, marketing, and digital content news. This Old Marketing. Take it away, boys.
Well, hello, friends. Welcome to This Old Marketing, proudly brought to you by the HubSpot Podcast Network, the audio destination for business professionals. And I'm Robert Rose. Welcome to episode number 481 for Friday, May 23rd, 2025. And with me, as he usually is my pal, my colleague, and a guy who has his own big, beautiful bill, Mr. Joe Polizzi.
Have you been reading the bill?
Yes, I have. Sadly. Yes, I have.
I think as we record this, the bill has passed the House.
It has indeed. It has passed the House.
Yeah. The weirdest thing that I read as part of it is they're going to put these Trump accounts for the people that have the babies. So if you have a baby between January 1st, 2025 and 2029, I believe, it goes into a Trump savings investment account called a MAGA account.
No, that's not true, is it? Is that true?
Yeah, it's absolutely true. I have it right here. Hold on, let me see.
Yeah.
Bill would give newborns $1,000 in Trump accounts. It's called sorry. It's
Oh,
actually
man.
called a money account for growth and advancement,
Oh, sure.
otherwise known as
There's a
a
MAGA
MAGA account.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I don't know
Because of
how
course. Yeah.
how do you so you are you well, I there's not much good that I like about this bill,
No, there's
except for
not a
the
lot to
fact
like about it. Yeah.
that because we're gonna go into so much more additional debt, gold and Bitcoin are going through the roof right now because of the money printer.
Yeah.
Got to print some more money. Yeah.
Yeah.
This morning, Bitcoin hit yet another high at 111,000.
Jesus. I mean, here you go.
Jesus said that.
Yeah,
Jesus was
Jesus
like,
said that. Yeah.
it was like, damn, you should have got me some Bitcoin. Anyways, yeah. Not that we're political at all. That's all the politics aside. I think that every American is concerned about our national debt, and this doesn't help. We're going into another $2 billion deficit, and we're paying $2 trillion, and we're paying $2 trillion on interest already.
That's right.
Oh, Jesus.
That's right. The one that I saw that was so disconcerting in the bill was they put in a clause that says, now if you sue the government, if you sue the executive branch of government, you have to be able to put up a bond. So in other words, basically, and the bond can be as much as the, defending the government decides. So for example, if you get, you get deported illegally, let's say, and you want to sue the US government for deporting you, the lawyers can say, well, it's going to cost us $50,000 a day to investigate and do this. So therefore they have to put up a bond of $50K before they can sue the government. That's, that's a little troubling, but there we go. But at least we'll have the MAGA bucks in our baby account. Yeah.
I've seen this movie before.
Yeah. Right.
See, it was written and directed by Mike Judge.
Yeah.
Basically what. Yeah, I don't know what to do. It's not yeah. Anyways, how are you? How's everything?
I'm doing well.
Yeah.
I'm doing fabulously well. It's been a good week. Coming off of my sort of retreat to Sundance. It's
That's
been
right.
a
Yeah, it's
lovely
good to
week.
see you back in your home office.
Indeed. And you're off of your marathon, which is or half marathon, I should say, which is always amazing to me that you can walk a half marathon, much less run one.
Wow.
I mean, we know, and a lot of people in our audience, I know this, a lot of our friends and family of the show are runners, and we're cheering you on. But boy, it's very impressive for me. It's very impressive that you can do that.
Well, so this is
especially your advanced age.
So get this. So it's probably my 20th or so half marathon that I've run in the past 20 years. Most years I get into, some years I get in one. I think there was 1 year I didn't get one in, but this was my personal best that I've ever run for, and I was as surprised as anyone. I'm going out there and I'm running, I'm hitting these really good splits, and I'm like, all right, let's go. And I felt great the entire time, and it was perfect weathers, but
nice.
55 degrees, overcast sky. It was wonderful. Had lots of support and fans out there, so that made a difference. Love seeing everyone at certain points, mile markers. But yeah, great turnout. Sold out again. Another sold out Cleveland Marathon.
There you go.
There's not a better way to see the sights in Cleveland than to run
and to run through the city,
or to see that the roads need a little bit more attention after the winter.
Now,
there's a lot
inquiring
of
minds want to know where during your run, do you still have the Katy Perry song on your playlist as you run?
I actually do, but it didn't go. It didn't play. It's still on the playlist.
Okay.
You're talking about.
Yes.
I still do. Although I'm not as much of a Katy Perry fan as I used to be. I still do appreciate her music. I still do appreciate her music, and I was on. what I've been doing with my Apple playlist is I used to have an actual playlist. It was Marathon 2023 playlist. And so then I just tend to listen to that for all my long runs. But now I just hit Joe Polizzi's special music on Apple, and it pulls not only the stuff in my playlist, but just stuff from the ether that are similarly sounding. So I'll get a nice Paul Simon song in there
Nice.
that I'm not expecting, or Beatles or Rolling Stones or something. I'm like, oh, I haven't heard that in a while, and I still like it. So yeah, that's way more than you needed to know about anything.
It's this is what the audience wants to know, really.
Yeah, they don't care.
Yeah.
They don't. You know that the majority of this audience, they speed up to 13 minutes. And they're like, oh God, they're still talking about it. This is the one thing before we start the show.
Okay.
The Tush Push.
Yes.
Talk a little NFL.
Yes.
As of this recording, it failed to pass because there were a number of teams that were trying to ban the Tush Push, which for those of you that don't know.
To be clear, the ban failed to pass.
The ban failed to pass, which means
like very much like a California bill here, where you vote no to actually mean yes, and you mean yes to mean no, right? So the question was, should we ban this play?
And they did not. They did not ban it. And for those of you that don't know what a tush push is, it's basically where the quarterback takes the ball from behind center and lifts up his legs, and then everyone just tries to push the quarterback over the line.
Yes.
And there's
one team,
the Philadelphia Eagles has done that better than anyone else.
Yeah. Not really better than anyone else. They're kind of the only team that can do it. So,
well, see, but here's the issue. When it's done like by the Buffalo Bills, they make the first down, but it's called back because the tech is always not working.
Right.
When the Buffalo Bills do that play.
That's right. Yeah.
Not that I'm critical of
how things are going.
But we talked, I think we talked about this on another show. They're bringing in, they've got the chips in the balls now, so they don't need the chains. The chain gang is going to be on the field, but they're not going to use it anymore. They're just the officials are just going to say to New York or whoever's up there, hey, is that a first down? Yeah. Okay. First down.
Yeah. It's good stuff. That's smart. I love that rule, and I love that technology being deployed for this, because it was time. It was definitely time.
And they did a lot better job last year, except for the Buffalo Bills.
Right, except for the Buffalo Bills game.
It worked on every game.
Exactly.
Everybody got the first down if they actually crossed that line, except
the Buffalo Bills. Yeah, there you go. Anyways. The poor Buffalo Bills.
I'm a Cleveland Browns fan, so very excited about the year. Wow.
Yeah.
The schedules came out. I'm very excited.
I shudder at the prospect of your quarterback situation. I'm just going to continue to make that joke all the way through the season.
I have we have a 5-way quarterback battle going on in Cleveland.
It should be good. It should be good.
No, it's not. Yeah. No, it's not going to be good at all.
It's going to be good for the. It's going to be good for the drama. Yeah. And speaking of drama, we have a good show. We have a good show here. We have big news coming out of Google. The Google Marketing Live 2025 marketing event. The AI arms race goes corporate, with basically Google shouting AI for an hour straight, then handing marketers a bag of tools and saying, good luck, it's your problem now. Then we'll talk about a summer reading list for people who don't read or even exist. That's right. A major newspaper has served up a list of must-read books for the summer, so niche, so obscure, and possibly imaginary. It reads like ChatGPT on mushrooms. Netflix is also now adopting Sesame Street because apparently HBO, doesn't believe in friendship. After HBO ghosted the big bird, Netflix has swooped in to save the Muppets. Then we'll talk about OpenAI. Yes, big news from OpenAI and the wonderful New York Times. Dude, I don't know if you saw this picture, but it's so good. It's like they got engaged. Jony Ive, his design company, has now been acquired by Sam Altman and the
they
New York
looked
Times.
Really cute together.
Oh my God, it's literally like they're getting married, and it's just so adorable. And that we'll get to our winners and losers, where I will talk a little bit about Peloton and their sort of the gang who couldn't shoot straight. Joe will talk about the Northeastern Ohio Factory Direct furniture shopping, I guess he was doing there. Just gonna guess. Then we'll get to our rants and raves. I'm going to rant a little bit about this AI-powered, AI-first growth marketing trend that we're seeing across social media. And Joe is going to have some commentary on Jane Friedman on the use of AI by writers, by creative writers. So kind of an AI-themed show as we go forward.
Not that we rarely cover AI.
So no, exactly.
We never. It's a whole new thing for us.
It's a whole new thing.
A whole new world.
You know what? I have this pet peeve. There's this saying that everybody has, a whole nother, like it's a whole nother thing. Nother has become a word in the English language because you just say whole nother. Everybody goes, oh, it's a whole nother thing. So it's a pet peeve.
You skip the
yeah.
Like
it's a whole nother. Well, you don't say a whole another thing.
It's not like Merriam Dictionary. They haven't made nother a word.
They have not, but people use it very, very, very much like that. Whole nother thing. Yeah. And speaking of a whole nother thing, here's our first story here. It gets to Google Marketing Live, the big event for 2025. Everything you need to know, coming courtesy of Search Engine Land, although there are many outlets covering this. I think Search Engine Land did a really nice job here. The headline is everything you need to know, the recap. And the article opens up by saying Google Marketing Live 2025 was, no surprise, all about AI again. Google Marketing Live made one thing clear: AI isn't just an assistant anymore. It's becoming a co-strategist. This year's event was packed with updates where AI played a central role, powering everything from bidding to creative to product listings to campaign insights. They announced the expansion of ad placement, cinematic creative AI tools. That's something for us to talk about for sure. Real-time campaign co-pilots and AI agents that do the work for you, and more. And there's more. It also chops like a Ginsu knife. Anyway, it goes on to sort of talk about all the different stuff, including the new movies, the film sort of creation, the AI mode moving to a desktop app, smart bidding, marketing insights, ads and analytics. What stood out to you from this and looking through this, and what do you think is real for marketers, what they should be paying attention to?
Well, I absolutely want to talk about some of the constructive nature of the Marketing Live and what they've done. But I want to tell you my feelings first. It felt like, reading through some of this and looking at some of the other articles, it felt like regret and desperation. It's really what I mean.
Smells like Vegas.
We've been talking for a while about how Google is trying to remodel itself in this new AI, but this is the first week, and probably because some of our friends came out on LinkedIn. Jay Bear comes out on and says that he made this big move and it doesn't use search engines now and just using Perplexity. And we've talked about other people moving from search engines to ChatGPT. We've been talking about that for a long time. But as I'm reading through this, I'm really getting the feeling of Yellow Pages. Like it's the first time I felt that.
That's interesting.
I felt that they're throwing everything but the kitchen sink at this thing. And they really understand that their business model has completely broken, and it is now significantly a loss leader. Like that revenue will not grow anymore. That revenue has peaked, and they're really
search ad revenue. Yeah.
Search ad revenue. I'm sorry. Search ad revenue has peaked. And you look at all these things, you're like, wow, this is kind of nuts that they're going. And I get it, and they probably should, but I think a lot of cases because they did not adapt that model, and they got too adsy. I mean, you talked about it many times about just doing a basic Google search. There's ads everywhere. I can't get to, and they didn't. Those results were not what they were half-assed. They were getting terrible results. So now we're going to where people are like, I would rather not go through the hassle of finding the answer. I will take a Perplexity. I will take a ChatGPT that gives me one answer, even if the possibility is that the answer's wrong.
Yeah.
And that's the concern that I have. But I don't know. That was my take. I don't know what your initial gut reaction was.
I think it's really interesting that you frame it that way, because I think it's not uncommon that's starting to happen now, which is the Google search product has been left to atrophy so much that people are willing to risk inaccuracy because the product is that bad, right? In other words, you're willing to put your trust and or sort of your investigative abilities to test with the AI search on Perplexity and or ChatGPT or whatever your search AI of choice is, including, by the way, Gemini. And you're willing to sort of look at that rather than suffer through the bad product that is Google search. And that's bad for them, right? That's just a mismanagement in terms of how they have managed they've basically tried to wring as much juice out of that lemon as they possibly could, and then ended up breaking the product in the interim.
What do you think about the new? This is a little bit beside the point, but on topic. The new homepage layout that they're running, this discovery. Did you see this?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I'll throw it up here on the screen so we can look at it. But yeah, there it is. It looks like we're going back to Yahoo News.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's a little. Yeah. I mean, you've got sort of the new layout there where you've got the things on the right, you've got the sort of just the answer
hot news
from Gemini, exactly, coming out from there. I think it'll take people getting used to. I mean, people are so used to the way that it has worked for 20 years that I think that's a big move for them. They and for a company that does, they used to. I remember back in the day in 2004, 2005, 2006 timeframe where they absolutely sweated the details around changing anything, including just how big the GIF was for the Google logo. I mean, by literally taking it down four kilobytes of size. There was the story about how they would, save millions and millions of dollars every month because of the number of searches that were going on. So they used to absolutely not change anything unless it absolutely needed to. And to your point, now it feels like they're sort of throwing just stuff against the wall willy-nilly to see if is this what you want? Is this it? Is this when it's going to work? And that's what this event felt like to me a little bit, which was when I look at all the things they announced. And let's be clear, some of this technology was damned impressive. The video, especially the new video from the Veo stuff is really
so
good.
Let's explain the Veo video. Is it Veo?
I think it's Veo. I think that's what it's called. Basically it's their new video. It's their competitor to Sora and all of that. So basically just video creation. Now it has sound associated with it, so you can actually associate it with dialogue and stuff like that. And they had a bunch of demos of cinematic sorts of scenes with video at interviews on the street. That sort of thing is sort of a demo here. And I mean, it's definitely entered the uncanny valley territory where you're like, there's something wrong with it, but I can't quite put my finger on it, and it sort of feels a little icky.
But it looks like you can, if you're a marketer, you can take the assets, that your campaign assets, you throw them into their asset studio and then give it a little bit of prompt.
Yeah.
And they'll build your little video.
They'll build your little video for you. And so I mean, I think you're going to start to see a lot more of it. I think, like we talked about on the show, I don't know, it was 2 weeks ago, I have a feeling, we talked about it with Facebook, right? Where Facebook was going to sort of kill off the creative studios based on their ability to produce AI generated creative. I think similarly here, you're going to start to see a lot of it. And basically what's going to happen is that the human stuff will look differentiated. And so there will be a swing and then a swing back. That's my prediction for this stuff, because so
I think that makes a lot of sense, because even you talked about with the whole baby craze going on. That seems to all happen at once. You have all these videos that looked like we saw the action figure pictures come out because everybody was doing their own action figure.
Sure. Yeah.
That went for 2 weeks. Okay, now that's gone. Don't do that anymore. Now everything's a baby. So they're taking like, I've seen, podcast clips. It's not Theo Vaughn anymore. It's Theo Vaughn as a baby, and it's Joe Rogan as a baby. And they're like, I'm like, okay, you can do that for a couple weeks. Then it's gonna be something else.
And they're doing movie scenes now too. There's a lot of movie scenes that are out there on TikTok with the babies and stuff like that. And then of course, yes, I did us as babies just because of course I did. And so it, you go with the memes. You go with the memes.
You had that little chubby fat that I was like, oh, that's an adorable baby.
Yeah.
I felt bad.
Both pretty damn adorable.
I had a Cavs hat on. So already the baby's gonna grow up a Cleveland fan. And I'm like, don't be a Cleveland fan.
And what's funny is that the fascinating thing to me was, in that I was wearing a Dallas Cowboys hat, you're wearing a Cavs hat. My Dallas Cowboys logo was the very first logo that they had, right? Which is the cowboy riding the horse. And then he's got a helmet on, but it couldn't read that. And there was no data or very little data that logo really is a part of Cowboys history. So it's interesting that they didn't understand. So what it did is it turned it into like a fork and a knife or something that across. It's like,
I didn't know what that was.
It was very weird.
But actually, you should just start selling that hat. That could be a seventh pair.
Yeah,
hat.
A fork and a knife. Yeah, there you go.
Totally on brand.
A fork and knife. I got your fork and knife for you. Okay.
All right. Anyway. I don't know. So anyways, I think they're probably making the right moves. It looks like there's a lot of things for marketers here. They, we've got the ad integration.
Well, especially if you're a search ad marketer, right? All the bidding stuff, all the AI and analytics stuff, that's all going to be there. What I was interested to see is that there wasn't I'm finding more and more that when AI first came out, 2023, all those kinds of things, one of my big questions was, are people going to prefer to work within the tools? In other words, you're working within Gmail or you're working within Google Docs, and you're going to start to chat with, whatever AI you choose to within those tools, Copilot or, or Gemini or whatever, versus going out to a separate application. And what I find so interesting is that most people, it seems like, I don't have the data to prove this, but it seems like from just observational sort of perspective, that most people prefer using a separate application. Like they're not going into their Gmail and saying, hey, write me an email. They would rather go into ChatGPT or a separate application and go, write me the email, and then cut and paste it into their email, which I find fascinating, actually.
The thing that I think is interesting is the free versions of Claude and ChatGPT, when they decide to turn on monetization for those, they're going to have the most robust findability advertising tool that you can just
Sure.
I mean, I was just looking at, we'll talk about it if we get to the OpenAI one. But so ChatGPT is going to do $4 billion in revenue this year. They're going to do almost $12 billion next year. That's without even trying, folks.
That's right.
They're gonna, if a huge chunk of Google revenue is going to go to Perplexity, and it's going to go to ChatGPT, OpenAI.
Yeah.
It's just interesting from a business model standpoint what Google is going to do. If I'm Google right now, I'm buying Perplexity.
Doing something quick. They got it
right now. Like they feel behind. So whatever.
Yeah. Whatever. No. I'm with you. It just feels a little bit. It's like you said. It smells like Vegas, right? Regret.
Yellow Pages.
Yeah.
TV Guide.
Yeah. Regret and desperation. It's
those companies.
The new scent. That's the new musky scent. It's regret and desperation.
Regret and desperation for Google.
Yes. Yeah. Regret and desperation brought to you by Elon Musk. Okay. Speaking of that, let's do our own regret and desperation.
Sure. That's a really good segue, sir. Yeah, fantastic.
You don't become the world's most valuable women's sports franchise by accident. Angel City Football Club did it with a little help from HubSpot. When they started, data was housed across multiple systems. HubSpot unified their website, their email marketing, and fan experience into one platform. This allowed their small team of 3 to build an entire website in just 3 days. The results? Nearly 350 new signups a week and 300% database growth in just 2 years. You want to kick off some great marketing? Visit HubSpot.com to hear how HubSpot can help you grow better. Am I talking too loud? Wait a minute. That's a cool podcast you should listen to. That's right, Talking Too Loud, hosted by Chris Savage and brought to you by the HubSpot Podcast Network. In this podcast, Chris Savage, Wistia's CEO and loudest talker, takes you inside the minds of entrepreneurs as they share a hilarious and informative and most challenging aspects of building more human brands. A recent episode featured the founders of Cast Magic, a company leveraging AI to reimagine content workflows. It's wonderfully loud. You can follow Talking Too Loud wherever you follow your favorite podcasts.
The next one, I want you to take. I like that song, but for some reason, I want to hear Howard Jones. I want to hear.
You want to hear the voice?
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to hear, like,
what is
I don't know.
love anyway? Does anybody love anybody?
That's so good.
Yeah.
It just feels like that song is just supposed to get you geared up. You're at the club, you listen to that song, you're like, okay, when's Howard come out? Like when? Oh,
Yeah.
that was on my marathon playlist. I had 3 or 4 Howard Jones songs. Because believe it or not, it's in with my footsteps. What is love? And I'm running, so you could just picture me. Why are we all in black today? By the way,
I don't know.
What's
It seems
did somebody die?
No.
Google died. Google is dead. We are in mourning over the Goog. The Goog.
The Goog. The Goog. The big Goog.
The Goog is getting cremated today.
All right, let's get to our next story here. Keep things moving along in this.
Sure, why not?
So this is coming from the site honestbroker.com, which you introduced me to. I'm not familiar with the Honest Broker, but I really like the site after seeing some of this stuff.
Actually, I think Heidi Cohen sent this over to me. So
is that right?
Okay. Yeah, I think she did. Yeah, go ahead.
The headline is a major newspaper publishes a summer reading list, but the books don't exist. The AI disaster is getting worse, and a new survey of 48,000 people in 47 countries makes clear that the public is fed up. We're fed up. Apparently. Fed up. Critics aren't perfect. Sometimes they get facts wrong. Sometimes their judgment is faulty. Sometimes they dangle their modifiers or split their infinitives with everybody watching. That's a good opening line. I've been there and it's awkward, but I've never seen anything as embarrassing as the quote unquote summer reading list for 2025 from the Chicago Sun-Times. It gave glowing reviews to books that do not exist. And I bet you can guess why. That's right. The newspaper relied on AI to write the article. The article starts with a recommendation for Tidewater Dreams by Isabel Allende. This is Allende's first climate fiction novel where magical realism meets environmental activism. It's a shame that Allende never wrote this book, nor did anybody else. The book simply doesn't exist. He says, I'll predict, however, that an AI-generated book with this title will show up on Amazon within the next few days, because when you live in a world of AI hallucinations, this is how the business model plays out. He goes on to explain that the next book, The Last Algorithm by Andy Weir, doesn't exist. The storyline about rogue AI that gains consciousness feels like the bots are now trolling us. So it doesn't get better. The first 10 books on the summer reading list are entirely hallucinated. And basically, the article goes on to say how this is all happening, which it's pretty clear how it's all happening. And then he goes on to post a couple of memes and stuff like that and speak to the research about how everybody's really starting to become a little bit upset with this AI thing. Any take on this, that the research and or the Chicago Sun? I mean, this is a big pie in the face for Chicago Sun-Times. The Chicago Sun-Times,
And it was syndicated in the Philadelphia Inquirer, I think, too. I mean, it's not like I don't know who's to blame. I think there's an editor here to blame somewhere. If you ask, look into the author, feels horrible. Didn't check. Put in the prop. Didn't check that they were real books. I mean, but there's 6 layers of human beings, right? That are supposed to check this thing.
Yes.
I don't know if you were
in a newspaper the stature of the Chicago Sun-Times. I mean, I get it. You know, look, newspapers have been doged for, the last 10 years, and the number of people there continues to dwindle, and the fact checkers and research assistants and all that stuff are just gone from most newspapers, but that doesn't excuse the reporter here for sure.
Did you listen to the most recent Pivot with Kara Swisher?
I did.
And,
100%. Yes.
So you know how they were talking about Kara had the story that they covered her
the New York Times,
in the New York Times.
Yep.
And they were talking about how Scott and Kara were called dozens of times to confirm different parts of that story.
Yep.
So the reporters the journalists are working really, really hard to make sure that when that thing is produced, it is as correct as they could possibly imagine it to be. I'm sure there's always things to get through, but you can pretty much be sure that according to what everybody's saying, this is fact. This is actually true story. We're not getting that with some of these other publications.
That's right.
And my fear is, because to your point, they have been doged. There have been so many cutbacks. You're looking to cut corners. I mean, I even remember my final few months when I was working at Penton Media back in the day. They had cut so many of our editors that you were going from the writer to a proofreader.
Right.
And that's a huge difference. When you take out that managing editor or any of that editorial support, it's a huge difference. That's what we've done with a lot of these newspaper and media sites. And I'm afraid, because now we're really cutting corners, we're only going to have a few. We're almost there, right? We only have a few major publications left in the world. And then you have the opportunity for these small little startups and nonprofit initiatives and content marketing initiatives, but we're losing the mid-sized newspapers around the world because of things like this.
And here's the corollary, which is really interesting, because I think it speaks directly to what's going on in the world of marketing right now, because basically marketing teams, and especially content marketing professionals, it's happening in the same way. And I have personally watched this, because you go, okay, well, if you're publishing a blog, or you're publishing, your original research, or your white paper, or your industry leading article, or whatever you're trying to do, that's happening there too, right? So a lot of those people are getting cut and this is going to speak a little bit to my rant a little later, but a lot of those people are getting cut for either for AI, or just because people are trying to cut marketing down to the studs. And so that's happening. And so the people who are left are often not storytellers. They're not writers. They're not trained in the way to do this. And so they're leaning heavily on ChatGPT or similar to write the blog post, write the paper, use deep research to do this. And by the way, I've spotted it. I know it. I've seen it. It's making mistakes too, making stuff up, especially where statistics are concerned. Sort of growth percentages, CAGR rates, CAGR rates, over particular industries. I have specifically seen it make take averages. Basically, if two different sources come up, with, one saying 17% growth, the other saying 22% growth, it says basically 18% growth or 19% growth. So there's it is making stuff up in marketing too. This is a, glaring sort of example of it, where it's just literally pulling and inventing stuff up out of whole cloth. And the more sort of weird, sort of more insidious part of this is that it's not necessarily making stuff up. It's just like getting it a little bit wrong. And a little bit wrong in some cases is like, I had it do deep research one time for sort of, a background to try and get some sources of things. And it came back, around content marketing. And it, of course, pulls in Content Marketing Institute and the research there. And it just plainly gets the numbers wrong. It just, it just gets the number. It mixes up years. It mixes up, sort of the different numbers because of the way things are phrased or the way things are laid out on the page. And it just doesn't, it tries to speak to something that's not really spoken to. And you just go, it's just wrong. It's just, it's not egregiously wrong. So, nobody's going to lose their life if they, if it's 25% feel confident versus, 15% feel confident. But the point is that that's going to grow. And if that starts to grow, then literally you won't be able to trust anything because that information will feed on itself and feed on itself and feed on itself to the point where it is just slop. It is just, and it's a real problem that we're not really dealing with right now, which is over time, how this starts to degrade everything to where you can't trust anything.
It already has, which is why we are where we are. But the opportunity is in the human being, in the personal brand.
That's what I think.
The influencer. It's huge, right? So I'll give you an example. I have a family member who watches Fox News religiously, and they have a short period of news that they cover the news, which they really don't trust as much, even though that's the news. That's supposed to be the fact. The truth. Who they really trust are the individuals,
right?
Are the talking heads that are spouting opinion.
Yeah.
Now that you could say that that's just a horrible thing because they might be completely wrong, but that's where we are. So if you are a marketer today, you're using all these tools, whatever, that doesn't matter. The opportunity would be, who are the people in your organization? Who are the influencers that you're siding with, that your customers, that your prospects are going to lean on for information? So that's where you and I might have an opportunity in this whole mess because we have a few people that follow us.
Yeah.
And they trust us and what we're saying, that we're doing all this vetting, and I think that's where we're going to be for the next couple of years as everyone. This is not just, oh my God, I can't believe this. This is going to happen all over the place, and it's going to continue to happen, and it's not going to stop because there's no regulation to this right now. There's nobody stopping. There's no fines for this.
That's right.
There's nothing that's going to stop this from happening, except for the public shaming. And you know what? A lot of people don't even know that this happened. It's not going to get through. They don't care.
That's right. That's right.
So that's where I think all of us should be like, okay, what do we do about this? We have to put more of our resources into the individual people.
Yeah. Two quick points. One is, in the big beautiful bill, there is literally a clause in there that bans states from doing any kind of AI regulation. So take that for what you will, whether you'll agree with that or not, but that's in the bill. It's in a budget bill. Just makes no sense, but all right. But then the second piece is exactly to your point. One of the things that I just wrote about this a couple of weeks ago, where I talked about what leadership means in, 2026 and beyond, which is, if this continues the way it's going, we can see leadership sort of becoming a much different thing, right? Because leadership up until this point was all about an asymmetry of information, right? So if you were a leader, it usually meant you had some information that others didn't, and you were able to sort of give that information, whether you're a thought leader or whether you're just a leader, you had information and were able to synthesize information in a way that basically made people want to follow you, basically wanted to, you could charm them, you could do a number of things, but you had information that others didn't. Well, in this world where information is commoditized to the point of meaninglessness, it all falls back to the leader and who you have relationships with. So in other words, who do you trust? And so leadership goes from an asymmetry of information to an asymmetry of relationships, right? So how many people do you have trusted relationships with will define how you build leadership in the coming days. And so it's a really interesting time for us to start to build, where you trust the storyteller more than the story.
It's so crazy. I agree. It's nuts.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where we're at. It's very hard. It's very hard to figure out who has the truth today.
Yeah.
As much as we like to think we know.
Yeah.
So there you go.
All right. Moving on very quickly here, because it's a fun one, is the Netflix has adopted Sesame Street. We can cover this really quickly.
That's
here.
Nice.
This story covers, it's a wonderful story. Basically, The headline coming from Yahoo News, although again, there are a number of people covering this. Basically, the story opens up and says Elmo, Big Bird, Oscar the Grouch, Cookie Monster, and the rest of the Sesame Street crew are headed to Netflix. The nonprofit educational organization behind Sesame Street, the Sesame Workshop, made 2 announcements on Monday morning concerning the future of the show. Sesame Street, this is a quote now, Sesame Street will soon reach more children in more places than ever before, the nonprofit explained. New seasons of Sesame Street and library episodes are coming to Netflix worldwide, and those same new episodes will release on the same day on PBS stations and PBS Kids digital platforms in the U.S., keeping our 50-plus year relationship going strong. The organization touted the unique public-private partnership, saying that it will allow their research-based curriculum to be provided to young children around the world with Netflix's global reach, while ensuring children and communities across the U.S. continue to have free access on public television to the Sesame Street they love. This is just a really nice story in context with their funding being, shut off, really, with NPR's, the National Public Television and National Public Radio, and PBS funding getting cut by the Trump administration. I think this is a really great thing for Sesame. I mean, I grew up on Sesame Street, so it's like, it's a very.
I like the deal that they did. I love the idea that they're basically doing it where PBS are still running it the regular time on those stations, whatever, but then also gives Netflix the rights. That's right. Full distribution of that.
That's right. And probably very really little bit of money. It's a great branding effort for Netflix. It's an easy win for both companies.
I wonder how the revenue dollars will work. Simply because, Netflix knows how popular certain things are, how much content that people digest. It's making them money here and there, getting new subscribers here and there. I would love to see what that model is, and if this is more than just. It's got to be more than just, hey, this is the right thing to do. I think this is going to be a huge opportunity for Netflix to get into children's programming. More into children's programming.
That's the thing, right? That's just why it's such a great brand play, because I would bet, I have no intimate knowledge of this at all, but I would bet that the dollars actually are really low. And in fact, it may just simply be Netflix making a donation, right? They may just make a donation in general
and they get syndication rights.
And they get syndication rights because it's a win for Sesame Street, because they get distribution, wider distribution than they have with PBS. They get it in streaming. They get it with a trusted brand. Netflix gets another trusted brand and content. To your point, creates an entry point for children's programming that becomes an anchor for them to really align with children's programming and build that audience and monetize that however they want to monetize it. Mm-hmm. And so it's a win-win for everybody, and there doesn't have to be a lot of dollars traded back and forth. This is why I think it was such a mistake for HBO or others to not grab onto this brand. So
how from an international syndication standpoint, how out there is Sesame Street? Like, what has it been translated into?
It's been translated a lot into, I believe, mostly Spanish and French, mostly for, I would suspect, Canada and Mexico, and where I know it is big in both of those countries. I don't have any information about.
But I'm just wondering how much bigger the brand is going to get because of worldwide distribution to every place on the planet through Netflix.
Yeah.
As they continue to grow, because their number one strategy right now, Netflix, is growing globally. Yeah,
because
they've totally hit their saturation level in North America for the most part.
Yeah, that's right.
Interesting.
That's right.
Good move.
All right. Very quickly, we'll cover the last story before we get to our winners and losers, and that is coming courtesy of the New York Times, and it is that OpenAI has acquired Jony Ive, a $6.5 billion deal, and the cover photo of Jony Ive sitting in his magnificently designed living room dressed in white, and he's just Mr. Designer Man, is lovely. The article opens up by saying the rise of artificial intelligence has profoundly altered the technology world in recent years, upending how software is created and how people search for this information and how images and videos can be created, all with a few prompts to a chatbot. That writer, I'm sure, is very proud of that opening lead. Anyway, there are two of them. It took two of them to write that lead. Anyway. Now, OpenAI, the world's leading AI lab, is taking a crack at that riddle. On Wednesday, Sam Altman, OpenAI's chief executive, said the company was paying $6.5 billion to buy I.O., a one-year-old startup created by Jony Ive, of course, the former top Apple executive who designed the iPhone, the iPad, by the way, as well. The all-stock deal, which effectively unites Silicon Valley royalty, is intended to usher in what the two men call a new family of products for the age of artificial general intelligence, or AGI, which is shorthand for a future technology that achieves human-level intelligence. The article goes on in very glowing terms of OpenAI and both Jony Ive, talking about how they basically, it's a glorified press release more than anything else. But so what do you think about all of this? I mean, it's kind of interesting to me that OpenAI is going to get into the hardware business. Clearly, you would think now that they're going to get into the hardware. Are they going to make a phone? Are they going to make a car? What are they going to make?
I think it's all about wearables. I honestly don't know what they're going to be glasses or going to be something else. There's two things that caught my attention. One is Mr. Ive got into this new business because his oldest child, I don't know which one, said, "Hey, check out ChatGPT."
Right.
That's because he wasn't doing anything at the time. So he's like, oh my God. Now he's saying, this is what my life's work at Apple was for. This has gotten me to this point. And I didn't realize that. I was, reading through the takes of Ive, said really regrets some of the decisions made at Apple because he's felt that the iPhone has been a disruptive tool in a bad way that has gotten us to all these bad places with our internet connection and distraction and social media, and sort of regrets his creation or the thing he helped create. So now he's looking to, I don't know, solve all those problems that he helped create by whatever he's going to do with OpenAI.
He didn't really join up with the most sort of, let's just put it this way, the most accomplished person in that particular world. I mean, Sam Altman's not really known for his altruism and focusing on.
That's true,
the
but he's not
good,
Elon
right?
Musk either. So
no, true.
And he's not Mark Zuckerberg either. Like he's,
I'm not sure about that. that.
I guess I don't know. What do we know? We only know what's out there. And,
I think it's really interesting. When I look at it out there, my first gut instinct was, he's going to they can build a phone, right? They can build, a phone is like sort of just a shorthand way of saying a sort of mini computer that is in your hand that does things, right? Like, and maybe one of those things is make phone calls. Some sort of mini tablet, or to your point, wearable. To me, it wouldn't feel right if they were going to do like glasses or something like that. It feels like they would have to create something that you interact with, a separate thing that you interact with. Most of the people that I know that interact with ChatGPT do so using the mobile app and do so using voice. I don't, interestingly enough.
I don't either.
I prefer to type my conversations with ChatGPT and just sort of have sort of a, almost like a live chat sort of thing. But most people I know are using voice to do brainstorming and stuff like that. So it may be something along those lines.
Think about this. We know that us using our fingers to type is going to be antiquated, but most searches are not going to happen that way. Like you and I, I'm the same way. I'm old school. I want to type it. I want to see it.
Yeah.
Most of them are listening and talking. So you would imagine that the wearable is going to be some kind of ear assisted device. You don't need a screen.
Yeah.
So if you look at all Apple's products. So let's say who's getting disrupted, right? Apple is going to get disrupted with this and their technology.
You think?
I do. You have the iPad, you have the iPhone, and you have the iWatch. Those things are all going to lose market share, and it's all going to go to listening and talking. Now the only thing is the visual aspect. Like, do you need a little camera? The AI has to see something, but it doesn't mean you have to wear glasses. It could be anywhere. It could be a little brooch. It could be a speck. It could be a nano speck. but you have to be able to hear, and then if you talk, that'll pick it up. So the closest thing that Apple has is the earpods,
Sure.
AirPods.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm thinking about. I think that's where it goes. It goes something in the ear and some little visual thing, so it can tell you what's going on around you. It can pick up all the signals as it goes. And then, yes, just like we were talking about with Google, Apple has to be concerned right now.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
Yeah, I would think they would be too. I would think they would be thinking very hard about this because let's be honest, Apple has not been innovating of late, right? They're slow on the AI term.
It's so similar though. Look at those two companies. They really just have sat on their laurels. Not that they haven't done anything innovative, but they really just have their core product that they've had for a very long time. Yeah. Apple from 2007 and Google from 2001.
Yeah.
So anyways.
Yeah. Anyway, all right, let's get quickly to our winners and losers, where we can quickly go through a loser from the last week in marketing or a winner in the last week in marketing. Let me go first because mine is super quick.
Okay.
Mine is the loser is Peloton. Yet again, it's interesting. So just last week, they basically lost yet another CMO and chief communications officer, now announcing that those two things would be into one, and they're on the hunt for yet another CMO. They've also confirmed from their performance that basically the last CMO that was there, Lauren Weinberg, she was there 16 months, all of 16 months. During that time, they had cut marketing by 20-something%. That's something 19% between 23 and 24 was the marketing cut. She had come up with a couple of innovative new angles for the brand and sort of marketing and all of that. And I guess it just didn't go anywhere. Well, now they have cut marketing again by 37%. So they're just on a shoestring now in terms of marketing and trying to figure out. And just overall, it's just Peloton. I'm shocked that nobody has come in and bought this company yet. There must be something in there that is just like a poison pill or something that nobody wants this company for some reason, because it seems really like it's almost like they're trying to lose. And so it's very, it's very weird to me. Basically, they have not been able to recover after the decline that they saw after COVID. Which of course fueled their astronomical growth and the stock
they were
price
up there. It's kind of like
they were in,
like Zoom held on to a lot of that. They made the comeback, but Peloton did not.
That's right. It's been pretty amazing. The sort of a business case study for sure. So anyway, this week yet again, from a marketing perspective, they don't seem to be able to. It's just the gang that can't shoot straight. So they're the big loser this week.
Interesting. So yeah, I don't know. They're so hardware focused because of the bikes too. So I don't.
Yeah, I can't imagine. Well, I get off on a rant on it, but yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Okay. So here, mine's very quick as well. So I want to put this up here. This is so we're furniture shopping. We were helping out a family member and have been look for some new furniture.
There you go.
We went to Northeast Factory Direct.
Yes.
You know what? And I just love this. It's so old school, Robert, but a lot of people forget about it. And this is right at point of sale. And all they want to know is, instead of saying, "How did you hear about us?" So we're buying something. We bought something.
Yeah.
And generally they want to know,
is that a touch screen? What the hell is that?
No, it's a placard. It's a placard. It's right on the desk as you go ahead. So basically we went to Northeast Factory Direct. We're going to buy a sofa and table or whatever. And the placard's right there because they want to know from their marketing. And so a lot of times we don't know. How did you hear about us? But they got it right there. And they've got,
what are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to, are you supposed to write it down or?
No, they're going to ask you. You tell them, "Hey, where'd you hear about us?" Oh, radio.
So this is your cue card. This is your,
this is your cue card. Which one did you hear about? So basically what we're looking at on the screen, if you're looking at us on YouTube or on LinkedIn, it's like, here's all the radio stations that they have ads. It's like, "Oh, I heard John Rizzo at 850 or whatever." Here from television. Did you hear about us online? Did you hear about us in print, word of mouth, whatever? It's so old school, Robert. But I don't see that much anymore. Like,
show me
at
on
least
the doll.
At least they're trying to measure it. right?
Yeah. This is show me on the doll where the marketer hurt you. Yeah.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Point to the
So
place point to the place where the marketer hurt you. Yeah.
kudos to them.
That's good
right?
stuff. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. Yeah.
So
That's
old
good.
school, man.
Yeah, no, it's good. And they're capturing data. I mean, that's the key there. They're capturing that data
But
for
they've
the customer.
but it all in one place. They've got their advertising as well as their organic stuff. Like,
yeah. I mean,
boom.
it's inherently flawed, but we don't need to go down that road.
It's incredibly flawed.
Yeah.
It's incredibly flawed.
Right.
But it gets the consumer to think about it. It does. It's no additional friction, and they're already like, you have to wait, right? Oh, I got to type in the model number and this is how we're going to ship it to you and all that stuff. And then, hey, look at this while you're waiting.
Right.
No,
that's right.
anyways.
That's right.
Anyways,
I like it. All right, let's quickly get to our rants and raves, where Joe and I go off on a little bit of a rant or a little bit of a rave over something that makes us feel like we're going to pass the big beautiful bill, or something that makes us feel like we're going to decline the big beautiful bill. You want me to go first, or would you like to go first?
I'll go really quickly.
Okay.
I'll put it up on the screen here. This is from Jane Friedman. I'll put the link in the show notes. If you don't know Jane, incredible influencer in the book space. If you're an author and a writer, you probably subscribe to one of her newsletters. This is just one of her newsletters that I thought was interesting. And she's talking about the acceptable use of AI for authors and how there's this big rift right now with, you have some authors that are like, no, they're absolutely not. And you've got other ones that are trying to deal with it. I just highlighted this one section, and she says at the end of this article, we must confront head on what makes human writing distinct and valuable. When machine-generated words can be summoned with a click. It's nothing new that we haven't talked about before, but there is a real fight going on in the author/writer community right now with, is it okay to use at all? And then she's talking about it really being the don't ask, don't tell period of writers and AI, because a lot of writers don't want to say that they use it. A lot of say for research, like I'm working on something new where I say I think it's right after the table of contents, I say, this is how I used AI in the creation of this book. And I think that that's probably the best way to do it. But it's just interesting that you're getting to that point where I don't know, and maybe I'd love to get your take on it. Do we need to make human writing distinct? Or is it just an inevitability that all human beings are going to be using some AI tool?
Well, I think both things can be true. My own take on this is that what will start to happen is, as more and more people start using AI, and I'm interestingly enough, I'm starting to come down on it doesn't matter. Disclosure doesn't matter. Like you just do, right? You just assume that everybody is at some level, because I don't know what disclosure really does, right? There's no.
That's a good point. I don't know.
What are we trying to do? Are we virtue signaling with the disclosure, or what is it we're actually trying to? What's the point we're trying to make by saying, that we don't use AI? Or how we use AI, right? Anyway, that's a whole other topic. My take on what is that what's going to start to happen is that those two things are going to start to merge together. In other words, humans, especially younger humans, as they start learning to use AI, they will naturally start to pattern their writing after AI writing, and vice versa. So it starts to merge together, right? In other words, whether you start using the M dash more or whatever it is, human writing will start to resemble AI writing, and AI writing will increasingly resemble human writing. And at some point, there won't be much of a difference between those two things, other than necessarily the level of quality, right? So only humans can assign meaning. Like, the thing is that AI doesn't understand meaning. It doesn't understand context. All it does is understand probability. So it doesn't understand the emotional context of something. And so there's a reason I put it out of order, right? There's a reason that I used a ridiculous word there. Those are the kinds of things that I think will start to distinguish the human writer, to the extent that people want to be distinguished against it. So it's interesting. Yeah.
So real quick, this is the way that I don't know if this is the right way to do it, but I have ChatGPT edit some of my stuff. And what I did was I uploaded 3 of my books to a string in ChatGPT, and I said, "This is how I write. This is how I write in all the forms or whatever. This is how I talk. Whatever." And then so that when I upload a version, I wanted to keep that as much as possible when it comes back to me with recommendations on how to edit something. I don't know if that's right, but that's what I
That's
did.
how you use it. I mean, it's how you use it. So flip
Yeah.
side of that, how I use it is I don't use the output, right? So to me, the output from ChatGPT is the least interesting part.
Yeah, you do research and
So what I do is I'll say, hey, I'm not as clear as I can be in this particular paragraph, right? So let's say I have a look at a paragraph. I'll say, I don't think I'm being as clear as I can possibly be in this. In this, can you suggest to me how this can be made clearer? And it'll come back to say, hey, this is maybe a rewrite. This is or it'll actually sometimes come back with suggestions like you should reorder these sentences or you should do this. And so I don't take that output and copy and paste it and make it my new paragraph. What I do is I basically look at that and go, okay, now I can go wrestle with that paragraph again with that sort of thinking in mind. So I use it more as sort of a thinking partner to say, what am I not seeing? Like what am I not seeing that I can't see? And interestingly, what I'm finding is that it's slowing me down. In other words, it's if it took me let's say 2 hours to write a blog post, it might now take me 4 hours because I'm actually taking the time to go, is this as good as I can make it? And I want it to be better and I want it to be differentiated. So I'll
have
use
somebody that can help you at
sort of
totally
push on
agree with
my
that.
idea, push on the phrasing, push on all of that. And yes, is there ever a time where it comes back and says, if you phrase it like this and I go, oh, that's really nice? Yes. So have I ever included a poetic phrase or some metaphor that it comes back with because I think it's really good? Yeah, of course I have. But those are snippets, not paragraphs, not entire pieces for sure.
You hit the nail on the head. I love it to upload something and say what's missing.
Yeah, what's not there.
Love that. I love that part. And the other thing is the long form research that they'll do that takes like 20 minutes to create a research report on something. I found I haven't used any. I just use it for education purposes. And I make it clear that like I want to know where this is cited from. The only issue is that sometimes it cites from things I would not trust.
Yeah.
So you just have to make sure that you always have to check.
Right. And it's a good point because it's citing Forbes, right, as much as it is Gartner, right? You know what I mean? So it's
it'll cite all the and then if you want that, you say, I don't want these things. I do want these types of resources. So you have to tell it.
That's right.
I mean,
so
just like if it was any assistant.
It's a slightly different framing, right? So instead of outsourcing the thinking to AI to come up with an answer, what it is actually, basically having AI make you think harder, right? Make you think more, make you do the creative wrestling and research, and maybe helping you with a direction, right? Helping you with a direction to go. And that to me is a much more interesting use of AI because it makes me, it builds in, what I've been talking about for the last 6 months, which is this idea of valuable friction, right? It makes me slow down and think harder.
Is that your next book? What's what it's called? Valuable Friction?
It should be. It should be.
Okay. Well, let me know when that comes out.
Yeah.
And you've kind of coined that. I think you did. So anyways, you can have, I could actually have ChatGPT write the whole thing for you and I'll have it to you in 20 minutes.
There you go. Fantastic. I'm sure the book within minutes it's going to appear in Amazon. Yeah. Within minutes. All right. Very quickly, I have a quick rant, just very quickly here. Basically, so a couple of weeks ago, I was talking to this chief revenue officer. I maybe even talked about this on the show before. I'm not sure, but basically he told me he was with a relatively mature startup, right? So they were in their B or C round or something like that. And he said he was disbanding the marketing team and basically putting in a growth team. So he wasn't downsizing the team. He was disbanding the marketing team and putting in what he called a growth team. And I said, okay, what's the difference? And this is when he sort of looked at me and he sort of said, like he was going to give me the twist ending of like The Usual Suspects or something. And he said, well, marketing is marketing. Growth marketing is marketing that works. And I was like, okay, dude, you've been sucking the Kool-Aid for, I mean, it's like,
Come
okay,
on.
dude, no. Now what I'm starting to see on sort of the LinkedIn and everything is this thing, AI growth marketing, which means it's marketing that works, but it works even faster, right? So there's the whole agentic thing. There's the whole AI growth marketing. There's the whole AI first bullshit. But basically, it's all of this is being cut and pasted from over caffeinated growth marketing people who basically think, thought and creativity is just a bottleneck for them to get to, faster answers. And so it's all and you can see it everywhere. Now everything is AI powered. You have an AI powered toothbrush, you have an AI powered journey, you have an AI powered tofu replacement, you have all of this stuff. But basically, can we just make more stuff now seems to be the sort of operational sort of go-to right now. And what I just want to basically really just sort of call attention to is everything we just talked about for the last 15 minutes, right? Insight basically now is gone. Dashboards are now sort of the thing, right? Creativity now gone. Basically, it's like, can we prompt it better? Basically, can we slow down and think about our strategy for a second? No, ChatGPT can pop out a strategy for us in 5 minutes. So why would we need to waste our time thinking about strategy? And that gets to my ultimate point, which is, and this was something we actually talked about at my Sundance retreat, which is there's this continual thing with the idea that says, AI will come in and replace jobs, replace tasks. And this is especially true in marketing. But basically, what it's going to do, the message seems to be it's going to free us up. And I'm using rock and roll quotes for those who are not watching the YouTube. It's going to free us up to do the strategic work that we were always meant to do. That's the pitch. That's the pitch from the companies. That's the pitch from these marketing AI bros, from the growth marketing bros, is that AI will now free us up to do the creative strategy stuff that we were always meant to do. And my question to that is, what is that? Tell me what that is. And that's when I get no answer. I get like, what are those creative strategy things that we are supposed to be freed up to do now that AI can't do? Like, tell me what that is. Tell me the tasks that we're doing today that we just don't have time for, that we're all of a sudden going to be freed up to do. And there is no answer for that yet from any of these folks, other than, I don't know, more creative thought, more strategy thought. But none of that is ever actually a thing. And here's the punchline. Are we sure that AI, have we rationalized ourselves to the point where we don't think AI can do that as well in the future? We keep hearing about this is the dumbest AI that we're ever going to use. And so we've sort of now rationalized that at some point it'll take over the boring, horrible, derivative tasks that we don't get to do, freeing us up to do what? And I think, no, I actually have faith in AI that it can do all those things too. So what is it we're actually waiting on? Like, what are we going to wait for? What are we actually going to get out of all of this? What are, time, creative strategy? What is it we're getting? And this is the question I'm really wrestling with right now, because speed is not strategy. AI doesn't fix lazy thinking. It just makes the consequences of whatever it is we're going to do come a little bit faster. So that's my rant.
It reminds me of we covered it about 6 months ago, the AI executive that said, you better plan to get really good at find some really good hobbies, enjoy walks, like you're not going to be working. You're going to be like, you have to enjoy other parts of life.
Right. It's just, yeah.
Hello.
What do you got this week?
Hello. What do I have? That's a good question. Actually, I think that we're preparing for
long weekend,
summer.
Long weekend,
we're preparing
coming up.
longer weekend. We do. Yes, we're gonna. It's the last Arsenal match of the year.
Oh, there you go.
So we're getting the whole crew. It's kind of a meaningless game because everything's been decided. But we're all going to get together, and then we're going to take everybody to Top Golf, and
oh, that's lovely.
it's going to be it's just a celebration of life.
None
of us are working because AI's taken over.
That's
everything else.
Fantastic.
How about you? What do you got?
I'm going to try my best to stand in front of a hot barbecue and cook meat over the weekend. That's my life goal right now, is to basically cook some wonderful meats for dinner.
Animal flesh.
Animal flesh for the weekend. Yeah.
Burnt animal flesh. I like it. Good for you.
Yeah.
Finally getting out there and doing some cooking.
That's it.
All right.
All right.
I'm done.
There we go. All right. Well, thank you all very much for hanging out. We will see you again next week with a regular episode. And until we see you again next week, just remember something. It's your story. Basically, you take the time and wrestle with it, and then you tell it well. We'll see you next week on This Old Marketing. Hey, thanks a lot for making it this far in this week's episode, and thank you all for being a part of This Old Marketing. You can check out all the show notes of what we talked about today at thisoldmarketing.com, and it's also where you can leave us a review or a voicemail. We need those reviews and comments on whichever platform you follow us on. And if you haven't followed the podcast, please go do that and make sure you catch the latest and greatest episodes every Friday morning. We're on Apple and Spotify and all your other favorite podcatchers, of course, but we'd love it if you went over and subscribe to us on YouTube. That's right, YouTube. youtube.com/@thisoldmarketing. We'll see you again next week, folks, with another episode of This Old Marketing.